Hi guys, I believe I am live. Give me just 1 second to get my screen sharing with you all. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Tuesday so far. I am so excited to do this class with you. Okay, so we're going to come over here. Thank you guys for being patient with me as I get this pulled up. Okay, guys. So today we are going to be doing a class that I'm calling the 3 phases of quantum shifting from blocks to blessings. And it's a way to stop self-sabotaging behaviors so that you can create heavenly harmonious balance. And what you guys are going to hear me say a lot, and I'm going to explain a lot of these terms that I'm using, but to be able to really step into what I'm referring to as the heaven on earth within. And this is going to be for ambitious women, healers, and coaches, and really anybody who is ready to step into what they feel like they're meant for. They feel like they're meant for more. They feel like they want to just really step into who they see themselves being, right? Maybe you've had an awakening and maybe you are starting to become more aware of certain patterns and behaviors and issues within certain areas of your life. And you start to see how you could be. You start to see who you could be, and you start to see how your life could be. But it's like bridging that gap from where you are to where you want to be and what you envision, what you really see, what you kind of glimpse. And so that's what today's class is going to be all about, is bridging that gap. Okay. So with that being said, let me go ahead and click to the next slide. Most of the women that I work with or that I encounter and kind of connect with are experiencing a lot of the same things. Okay. And I am one of them, right? Like I was here as well. So everything that I teach today, it's from experience. It's from, I have been there. And so when I say that this is a place of non-judgment, and when I say that this is a space, and anytime you connect with me, it's a space of understanding and compassion and unconditional love, I really mean it, because I have been through all of this. This is coming from a learned experience. And so there's really not, I think like I've been put into this position because there's really nothing that anybody can do it that I feel is attracted to me and the work that I do that I haven't done myself. So it's a really wonderful place of non-judgment and a place to come to experience unconditional love and understanding for like where you are, what you're experiencing, and the things that you might be struggling the most with. So, and when I say that because I was there too. So anything that I say today, you're not alone. And I know that people that I've worked with were there too. So it's not just me. It's not just my mentors, and it's not just you. And we all have to do this work. And so I'm really excited to go through this. So if anything comes up and resonates with you and you guys are aligning with all of this, don't let that be a bad thing, right? Let's do our best to leave judgment, right? Because it's so easy to do. And heck, half the time we don't even realize we're judging, right? At least I know I didn't, right? So let's do our best to leave those judgments at the door today and step into this class with some curiosity. Let's step into childlike wonder. Let's have some fun, playful out, just be here, just be present with me. Let's leave those judgments at the door and let's just get to know you. Let's get to know you in this process, and let's get to know how we can gap from where you are to where you really want to be. Those visions that you keep seeing and you keep thinking like, gosh, this is how life could be, right? We're going to bridge that gap today, or we're going to start talking about the process that will allow you to bridge that gap. So let's just have some fun. Let's leave expectations and judgments at the door, and let's just come in here with an open mind and curiosity. Okay. So most of the women that I connect with, these are the things that I'm about to go over that they think is the problem, right? We have a tendency, me included, to get into a place when we're not in flow, when things are not working out. It's so easy to think that it's these external things that are happening. And if those external things could just get solved, our problems would go away, right? So some of those external problems or issues that we might be experiencing, that we might be thinking in terms of that way, is we might be having some connection or communication issues within our relationships. This could be in our relationship to our child, right? Like we might feel like they're not listening. We might feel like we're always mad at them. We're always struggling. But when they're not around, we just want to love them. We just want to be with them, right? I know I've experienced, I have a 4-year-old. So I know I've been there, right? We might experience this with our lover, our partner, and we might love them so much, but they frustrate us, right? They drive us crazy. They do things that we don't want them to do. We can't get them to seem to understand. We can't, whatever, right? So this can cause a lot of issues. This can cause a lot of fighting, a lot of disconnect. And this is also can extend and probably does extend into relationships with our family, right? We might have these challenges of communicating and connecting to our parents because they don't see the things that we see. They don't understand the things that we understand. And maybe they won't show up for us the way that we're trying to teach them to love us, right? And I know that I can resonate with all of that. So, and a lot of my clients that come to me, that's kind of where they're at, or that's what they're kind of experiencing, and they really want to learn to navigate it. Now, the next thing that a lot of my clients come to me is it's not necessarily that they're stuck or they're not doing well for themselves. For the most part, they are, but they're feeling a little bit stagnant. They might feel a little bit blocked or uncertain within their career, or if they have a business, or figuring out what their service path is. Like maybe they have a good job, but they're like, I feel like I've kind of reached my potential here and I don't really know what's next for me. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't feel passion right now. And I feel like I need to step back into passion, right? Or it could just be their relationship with money, right? And I know I had a lot of trauma around money. I had a lot of conditioning around money growing up. And so building a new relationship with money was at one time, and still is today, it's something that I still practice and still make sure I do. But building that relationship with money was a very important thing for me because I knew that I had a poor relationship with money. And I knew that money was kind of controlling me. I knew that I was making decisions based out of fear around money. And I really wanted to have a good relationship with money. I really wanted to be able to experience money the way that I felt like was possible. Like I could see that I could have a good relationship with money. I wouldn't be afraid of money. I wouldn't be afraid of having money or losing money, right? Like it was all of the things. So some of those things, like we think that money's the problem, right? Money's the solution and money's the problem, right? I know I've been there. And so that's what I mean by this. And so the next thing might be perfectionism or procrastination, like that loop, right? So we want to get there. We want to bridge that gap from where we are to where we envision ourselves going, but we stop ourselves from getting there because perfectionism kind of gets in the way. It's like, well, we have to wait for the perfect moment to do this. We have to wait for me to be where I need to be in order to get married, or in order to open the business, or in order to have a child, or in order to do this. And then we procrastinate, right? Because we're waiting for the right moment. We're waiting for us to figure it out, for it all to just come together and it not be scary and it not feel like we're taking a risk or we're not stepping out of our comfort zone. And we're waiting for that. We're waiting for it to just feel right. And so we procrastinate, when the unfortunate truth of growth and success is that it will always be uncomfortable. There will always be fears. And most of the time, people that are not reaching their potential or reaching their success or going the distance in their business or whatever they want to be doing or in their relationships is because they are waiting for those fears to stop instead of doing what we're about to do today. And it's the process of really allowing ourselves to face those fears, move through those fears, and get to the other side, make new decisions and have a new experience. And I'm going to go through that process of like how do we do that? What are the steps that we've got to take? And when I tell you this is about to be a lot of information, I am not kidding. I wanted to make sure that this was extremely valuable for you guys. I wanted to make sure that you get what you need. So please be prepared to take a lot of notes. Okay. There will be a replay available of this. So if you guys need to see this again and take some notes, I want to make sure it's available for you. So be sure to have a blank piece of paper so that you can take some notes and really get the most out of this, because a lot of this is going to be things. This is not just today. Okay. I want you guys to understand that what you guys learned today is not going to be this, okay, I understand this and my life has changed now. I'm not going to promise that. That's absolutely not the case. Okay. So what this is going to be is the process for you to do every single day, stepping into this every single day. This is a daily thing. This is not, oh, I learned this information and my life changed overnight. That is absolutely not what this is. So if you guys are expecting that, I'm sorry to burst any bubbles. This is a process. Okay. I want you guys to know this is a journey. This is a process. And I'm giving you the tools, the steps, the questions, the things you're going to need to do to really make the most of this process. This is a journey. Okay. And I'm also going to give you guys outlets to get support and accountability in that journey if you guys are ready and want that at the end as well. Okay. So the next thing is the anxiety and overwhelm. Okay. So the anxiety, what I understand the most about anxiety and overwhelm, it comes from not being in the present. It comes from focusing too much on the future or the past, right? The past can create sadness, but it can also create anxiety because technically whenever we're in this anxious mode, we're always kind of worried about what's going to go wrong, what's not going to happen, and where we're going to be, right? Like we are always thinking about what could go wrong, what's not going to happen, and how in the unknown, right? Like we're so worried about the unknown. We're so worried about the judgment. We're so worried about the rejection, the fear, the disconnect, the not getting it right, the shoulds and the shouldn'ts. And it's because there are so many layers, and we're going to get into this. There's so many layers of what should and shouldn't be and what's right and what's wrong. And it can be really hard to take that wheel of your own life because of that. Now, let's talk about that a little bit, because this is actually what's the real issue is. This is what's really standing in the way. Okay. So this is a process I call the quantum liberation blueprint. Okay. So I want you to take a moment to imagine that your life is a vibrant canvas of infinite possibilities. Okay. So this is your personal masterpiece waiting to be unveiled, right? Okay. However, along the way, layers of conditioned beliefs, past experiences, and protective walls have formed, creating a tapestry that prevents you from living in your potential or your heaven on earth. So what is heaven on earth? You keep saying this, Heather, right? So from what I know and believe to be true in my heart is that heaven is not a physical place. It's a state of being. Okay. So this means that we do not have to wait until we are no longer in this humanized vessel to do the work to reach the state of being, right? As someone who has lost both of my parents now, I have been shown spiritual truths and been guided to understand spiritual laws that have led me to believe that most of us, if not everyone, can and will reach this state of being. So, however, if we do not do the work that our spirit team is urging us to do, and I'm going to show you how to recognize the work that the spirits are urging us to do here on earth, we will be thrown into a pattern of repeating these frustrating and painful lessons over and over again in this life and the next, until we choose to shift. Okay. So I hope all of this is making sense so far. So here are the key points to the quantum liberation blueprint. So the layers of the tapestry, these are going to represent the life patterns, the habits, the behaviors that have shaped us by our upbringing and past experiences, which have created the tapestry around our authentic self or our soul. Okay, so quantum liberation is the journey that I'm talking about that involves unraveling these layers, breaking free from the entanglements of the identity formed by external influences, and stepping into a place of quantum liberation. Okay, so what this means is this process, remember, it's a gap. We are building the bridge to go from who we are and who we have been up until this point to where we want to be, those visions that we keep seeing of what's possible in our relationships, of what's possible in our careers, what's possible for our abundance, all of these things that we keep seeing. There's a bridge, right? There's a gap between where we have been, what we've awakened to, and what we're seeing as possible. And so that is the journey. And in order to bridge the gap, the bridge is built by unraveling these layers, breaking free from those entanglements. Okay. Now, the next thing is, what are these layers? These layers tend to manifest as illusions of fear, which are creating barriers that obstruct the quantum shifts necessary for personal and professional growth. So in today's class objective, we're going to be unveiling your canvas. We'll work together to gently peel back all the layers, revealing your true essence of who you are and your limitless potential. And we're going to work on the process of breaking down those barriers, addressing those fears and dismantling protective walls, much like the ancient city of Jericho, to open the gates of transformative quantum shifts. So before we get started, I want you guys to know just a little bit about who I am so you guys can understand why I'm here, why I have any authority to be talking about this, and just kind of understand that I have definitely been where you might be currently and want to give you guys the process that has helped me bridge that gap that I keep talking about. So my name is Heather. I'm an intuitive life coach and spiritual healer. I guide ambitious women, healers, and mentors to step into heavenly harmonious balance with their divine design so they can quantum shift into their heaven on earth within and go from blocks to blessings. So here's a little bit of my story and how I got here, just so you guys can understand a little bit more about me. So in 2018, I experienced what has been referred to as the dark night of the soul. This is where a series of events occurs in a way that brings you to a low and painful place that creates a recognition and awareness that you have a choice in what happens in the next chapter of your life. Okay. I had lost my father unexpectedly, become a new mother, and went through a traumatic divorce. All massive life changes, all happening one right after the other. These events broke me down to the point where I was so stressed, anxious, and depressed that my body was beginning to shut down. I was faced with a decision to let my daughter watch me heal and create a new legacy for our family, or let her watch me die and leave her on her own. This recognition of choice was exactly what sent me into my first series of quantum healing that resulted in stepping away from the first business I had created and into a world of personal development. I started my coaching practice and experienced seemingly miraculous achievements. Within the first 2 years of starting my practice, I was hitting 10K in sales, recognized as power healer by On Point Global News, and published my first book that became an international bestseller within 24 hours. In the third year, however, things changed. My mom got sick and I became her caregiver. I began to worry about 3D issues such as time, money, and perfection. This caused me to step into a place where I was trying to control the outcomes. I was no longer having fun, and a lot of issues began to unfold. Within a few months, my mom passed, and reality began to settle in again. I realized that I had lost sight of what brought me success in the first place: God. So I know that this name is thrown around, and I use many names to refer to the superconscious myself. As a healer, I know that I am not doing the healing. I know that Source is the only healer, and Source is the supplier of all abundance. I took time to let go of the judgments, the attachments, and the control that I had built. I surrendered once again to the superconscious, the Christ within. And this is when the divine idea of heaven on earth within started to come to pass for me. And you're going to really start to get a picture of what that looks like and what that experience is soon. This is the result of bliss, being in flow, and watching those walls, or in other words, the self-sabotaging patterns that I had built around my Jericho or my magical city come down. So now let's go ahead and get into the process that made both of my quantum shifts possible and makes the quantum shifts my clients are having possible today. So this is the Heavenly Harmony Framework, and I call it a Soul Healer's Guide. So this is all about getting direction on where we are going, deconditioning where we are coming from, and stepping into heavenly harmonious balance of our new world, the heaven on earth within. And it's that bridging of the gap. So this is the exact process that we're going to go over today. So it is the direction of where we are going, deconditioning where we have been, and coming into balance and alignment with the world that we keep seeing, the world that we know we're meant to be in, right? So this is the process that we're going to go over. So here's the first secret, or the first phase of the process, which is direction of the divine design. So this is, again, where your notes are going to come in handy. You're going to want these pieces of paper so you can write down these questions. So the first thing that I guide my clients to do is the discovery assignment. So this is where we're going to take time to think about the areas of life that are important to you, such as your health, relationships, career, finance, and spirituality. What are you currently experiencing in these areas? If you are really honest, where are you at in these areas in terms of fulfillment? Where are you at? What are you experiencing? And be honest. Like I said, now, this is important. The more honest you are, and the more ability you allow yourself to open up fully, not hold back, and just be honest. Now, here's the thing. I want to say this. When you're doing this process, I know it's so scary, and especially when you're in like this mode of manifesting, right? It's so scary to allow yourself to be fully honest. to really just allow yourself to see like what's holding you back. Now, when I did this process for myself, every single time I've ever done this process for myself, when I'm feeling stuck, right? If I'm feeling stuck, it's because there is something that's holding me back. Now, so if what's coming up feels like I'm in victim mode, I'm a mess, I'm broken, there's issues, there's problems, right? If there's a bunch of judgments, if there's a bunch of victim, right? We feel like we're in victim, we feel like we're in blaming. It's like, I've worked so hard to get out of this, or God, this sounds like a lot of work, right? That's okay. I want you to know that that's okay. And it's actually normal. And it's actually exactly what we need. It's going to be these confessions. It's going to be this ability to pour it all out. That's going to help us figure out what our themes are, what our fears are, what our illusions are, what our barriers are. It's going to help us figure this out so that we can do the process to move on up. Okay. So to move from that anger, from that victim, from those levels of energy, to move on up to the heaven on earth energy. Okay. And you guys are going to understand a little bit more about that as we go through. Okay. So, but the best thing you can do for yourself is be completely honest. Don't be afraid to be in resentment. Don't be afraid to be in victim, because right now, this is for you to begin to understand who you are and what is really holding you back. Okay. So once you do that, based on where you are currently at, what experiences would you like to be having instead? Or if there are some good experiences you're having in addition to from a year from now, what would the goals you would like to accomplish within these areas, right? So where do you want to go, right? Like, so here's where you are, and you're being very honest about it. And if you take it one sentence at a time, one area at a time, how would you rewrite it? What do you want to experience instead? Now, put your doubts and worries of the how to the side for a moment. We're not there yet. We're not worried about this. Now we're stepping into the heaven on earth exercise. Okay. So this is where we are. This is what we're experiencing. But if there were no rules and we could do what we wanted to do, and there was no way it couldn't happen, what would we be doing instead? A year from now, what would life look like if every day for the next year I made new decisions? If every day for the next year I did this work that we are going to do today, what do I think my life would look like? Right? If every day I stepped into the idea that heaven was on earth, and everything that was meant for me, all those visions, all those ideas of what life could be like, what is that vision? What is that vision? What does heaven on earth mean for you? What does it look like? What does it feel like? Who are you being? And how are you spending your time? Now, we need to dig our ditches. Okay, so what digging our ditches means is we need to prepare for the divine idea to come to pass. We need to prepare for this vision to come into our reality, okay? Because we will only receive what we prepare for, okay? So what that means is if we are preparing for things to go wrong, they will. If we are preparing and living life as if they will not go wrong and everything is fine, then that's exactly what we will experience. That's exactly what we will manifest. We have to align the energy of who we want to be and where we want to be with what's going to happen. Because the truth is, we don't know what's going to happen. The fears are illusions. If we're afraid of the relationship failing, if we're afraid of the business failing, if we're afraid of whatever happening, of whatever we're going to lose or whatever we're going to fail at, we don't know. The truth. What is the truth? The truth is we do not know that that is going to come to pass. But when we choose, whether we are consciously or unconsciously choosing it, when we choose to prepare for that, right? When we prepare for rainy days, when we prepare to not afford something, when we prepare for something to fail or for something to be lost, that is what we will experience. That's how we will show up. That's what we will believe. And that's what we will build and prepare our ditches for. Okay. So going forward, if every day for a year you dug your ditches and you prepared for the ultimate abundance, if every day for the next year you dug your ditches and you prepared for success, what would you do? If there was nothing that could stop you, what would you choose to prioritize? And what actions do you feel you would need to do that? How would you feel and how would you behave if your health was where you wanted it to be? Imagine this version of you and feel into how this version of you is spending her time. What is she prioritizing? If health was exactly where you wanted it to be, how would you feel? How would you show up? Right? A good example of this, right? If someone is potentially overeating or having a struggle with their gut health, right? Not feeling good because, we keep eating things that aren't making us happy, right? What if we went from feeling like a slave to food, right? I've been there. Okay. What if we went from feeling like a slave to food to only feeling like we can have whatever we want, but we're not possessed by it, right? Now there's a quote, right? All things are lawful to me, but not all things are helpful to me, right? Meanwhile, all things are lawful to me. I will not be controlled or let them have any power over me, right? What if that's the heaven on earth, right? What if the heaven on earth is being a vessel of creator, right? It's no coincidence that in our mind, creator, and we have these thoughts of we need to take better care of ourselves, right? It's no coincidence. This is a gift, right? Something that I had to shift, okay, is when I had these thoughts of what I should do or like how I should be taking care of myself or whatever, these thoughts are not here to punish us. What if we celebrated? What if we celebrated these ideas? What if the thought of we should do something nice for ourselves or we should eat better, right? What if we stopped letting those thoughts shame us and we started celebrating that our brain and our body and spirit loves us so much that these things remind us through thought of how much they love us, right? What if we started celebrating? Hopefully that's making sense, okay? So do this visualization for each area that you would like to improve. All the areas that are important to you, all of the goals. Step into a childlike imagination and paint a full picture of everything being just as you believe it could be if there were no rules. Put the how, put the doubts, put the worries to the box for a second. Step into childlike imagination. Imagine you're 7 years old again, or 4 years old again, or whatever resonates with you, right? And you are stepping into painting a picture of what you believe your life could look like and how it would feel and what you wish for your health, what you wish for your relationships. Step into your heaven on earth and what it would do for you, how it would make you feel, how you would experience it, okay? Now, let's be honest. The success of this shift, the determination of this shift, the ability to make this shift happen is going to depend on your willingness to connect and commit to this transformation of your barriers and practicing believing in your new choices. So we have to commit to stop digging the ditches and preparing for what we are afraid of happening and start digging the ditches and preparing for what we want to happen. What we believe is Creator's will, God's will for us, right? And right, do we believe? Do we want? Let's see. Do we want to follow a super conscious or a creator or a God who wants us to experience our fears or wants us to experience bliss? Right? I know what I want. I know what I want. I know that I want to follow a God or a creator who wants us to experience abundance and health and the perfect way to serve and passion, absolute passion, and just feeling so fulfilled where all my needs are met. That is what I truly believe my creator wants for me, right? So it's the willingness to dig our ditches for that experience, to prepare for that experience every single day. It's a willingness to identify and define those fears with the work that we've got going on today, putting them to the side and making a decision to step into the new world, right? Okay, so that brings us into phase 2 or secret 2, which is deconditioning the barriers. So What are barriers, right? Barriers are any thoughts, fears, doubts, worries, or insecurities that are blocking you from stepping into the new world you dream of. These are typically passed on down to us from something that may run in our family, societal influence, and protective walls put up due to painful experience in preparation to prevent hurt. If we are preparing for something, right, we will receive it. So if we do not tear down these walls that are preparing to prevent hurt, we will not experience a life where we will not attract pain. Okay? It's very important. This process is the reason I do what I do. This is the reason I'm making this class. This is the reason that I hope and pray that you guys are following along, that you guys are hearing me, hearing my soul right now. Okay? So I know I get serious. I know I get fun. I know I get exciting. I know I'm everywhere, right? But it's the truth. What we prepare for is what we will receive. And I want more than anything to help people awaken to this idea, awaken and build their deeper awareness of what they are really preparing for. And so they can make a new decision and prepare for something new. Okay. You are the medium. Okay. Have you ever wished that you could talk with spirit guides to get support on your success or your healing? And maybe you have already been developing that ability and made contact, but maybe you still feel like you wish the messages could be more clear. And if that's you, just know they can. You are in Earth School and you are equipped with everything you need to pass your lessons. The biggest breakthroughs on how to complete your life lessons while you are in Earth School are just on the other side of anything and everything you most likely want to avoid. If it's uncomfortable, you're on the right track. In order for us to learn the lessons we need to learn, we must face our biggest fears, feel our most uncomfortable emotions, and create expanded perspectives around our overwhelming thoughts. Okay? This will be the case for both sides of the sword, which are fears and anxieties around loss and failure, along with fears and anxieties around receiving and success. Okay? Both will require actions to be taken that can and probably will feel uncomfortable and sometimes not natural. Now, this is the other thing that's important. Not all fears are black and white, meaning not all fears can be treated the same way. And I'm going to go through the 3 main ways fears need to be treated. And of course, having someone like me, the benefit of having a mentor or having someone that can hold this space for you and hold you accountable through this process, through this journey over the next 30 days, over the next 6 months, and over the next year, so that you can create your heaven on earth, is the fact that all fears can be confusing. You might think, okay, this is a fear. This is definitely a fear that I'm experiencing, so I need to do it this way. But the truth is there are a few ways to break down and transform those barriers. And I'm going to go over 3 different ones. And so you have to get an ability. You have to build the mastery of figuring out what fears are what and what fears need which tool. Okay. So that is just the warning. That's why these things can be complicated. And that's why a lot of us, including myself, choose to have a mentor. So having help is not a bad thing. It is to help make sure that you don't get stuck and you can move the quickest you can possibly move and stay accountable every single day to this, and having someone to guide you so you don't get stuck. Because if you're trying to treat a fear with the wrong tool, it's going to feel like you're hitting another wall and you're going to go back into those loops of like, I need to just give up. This isn't for me. And I don't want that for any of you. I don't want that for any of you. So I want you guys to be aware that not all fears are black and white, and not all fears are going to be treated with the same tools or the same medicines. Okay. And the medicines are the tools. Okay. So we're going to go over everything that I can possibly think of that you will need. But if you are hitting a wall, be sure to try it all. I'm not trying to rhyme, but I did. Okay. So now, we're getting into how to do the work. Okay. So ways to bring awareness to what your spirit team is wanting you to know. So the first thing you might want to do is notice what it is about people around you, directly or indirectly, right? So people in society and people in your home, right? What triggers you? What frustrates you? What stresses you out? What are you afraid that their actions might mean about you, right? So if your kid's doing something or behaving a certain way and you're triggered by it, what are you afraid that their behaviors mean about you? If your spouse is doing something and it triggers you, you don't like it, what are you afraid that those actions mean about you? Because the truth is when somebody is doing something that you don't like, there is something about you that it's bringing up that you're afraid of, right? That's making you uncomfortable. Now, this is a process. You've got to take some time, right? Okay. Now, these are the exact parts of yourself. The parts of yourself that it brings up, the things that you're afraid it means about you, are the exact parts that need to be freed. Okay. The only way to free them is by taking a moment to face them as if they are true, right? So for example, let's say our spouse is doing something that makes us feel, maybe it's not like cheating, right? But maybe it's something that you don't find respectful, right? And so then you're mad, you're almost going to break up with them, you're this, you're that, you're freaking out, you're losing your mind, okay? What are we afraid this means about us, right? So an example of this might be, am I not good enough? Am I not sexy enough? You know, all of these things, like, am I not doing enough, right? What's wrong with me? I'm afraid that his actions mean this about me, right? So these are the parts of ourselves that need to be freed. So we need to face them as if they were true, right? Because trying to convince ourselves that we are good enough, worthy enough, sexy enough, etc., is going to be a losing battle, okay? And if we do try to convince ourselves that it's true and we win, it will only be temporary. If we convince ourselves, I am worthy enough because of this, right? We'll keep going and things will keep popping up for us to face that are going to push you to stop playing the game of battle. We have to stop convincing ourselves that we are worthy, okay? We have to stop convincing ourselves that we are these things, because at the end of the day, the truth is we are always worthy. And sexy is a perspective, right? Things are perspective and things are relative, right? So at the end of the day, they're illusions and they're 3D concepts that are actually not real and actually don't matter, but we're going to keep convincing ourselves of them and we're going to keep playing the game. And we're going to keep going through these cycles of, I thought I healed this. I thought I won. I thought I convinced this. And it's going, and the universe, God is going to keep showing you, stop trying to win. Surrender. Surrender to them. Stop trying to win, and they will stop battling you. Because the game of convincing is really just a game of running from the possibility that you're not good enough, the possibility that you're not worthy, the possibility that you're not sexy, right? And again, all of those things are relative. All of those things are illusions. All of those things don't matter. And you were born with worthiness, right? Nobody is not worthy, okay? If anybody can get to where you want to be, why can't you, right? Okay, so I hope this is making sense. I hope you guys are hearing me. So we have to stop convincing ourselves that we have to go in. Now, the thing is, right, the way to free them is by facing them as if they are true. So if we face it as if it's true, why, like, what about it, right? If we face that, maybe we do mess up. Maybe we do traumatize our kids, right? Maybe we don't look like what society tells us we're supposed to look like. Maybe these things are true. Why is it okay? And what do I want? And how do I want to treat those parts of myself differently? Right? So for the example of maybe I traumatized my kid and maybe that really stresses me out. Maybe I feel like I'm a failure as a parent, right? I'm giving you examples of my own experience. Okay. So is it true that my parents traumatized me? 100%. 100%. Is it true that I have today done the work and understand that they were doing their best, that they were only operating at the consciousness that they had available to them, and that they love me and they really, truly did their best, and absolutely everything that they did to me had nothing to do with me and had everything to do with them? 100%. Are some of the things that they traumatized me on some of the best lessons that I've ever learned? And are they equipping me with the career I have today? 100%. So is it true that you traumatized your kids? Maybe. Is it true that it might be exactly what she needs to become the person she's meant to be? 100%. Okay. So this is what I mean by facing them as true. So I hope this is helpful. I hope this is making sense. Okay. So the next thing that you might want to do is notice what it is about worldly things, such as money, career, or circumstances. What triggers you? What frustrates you? What stresses you out? What do you feel you are lacking or not receiving? What do you wish you could do, but feel it would be impossible, irresponsible, or unavailable for you to do? Some examples might be like asking for help, or not work so hard, take some time off. Or what if you went ahead and prepared and lived life as if you were already rich, right? That makes us uncomfortable, right? These thoughts of what if I asked for help? What if I delegated tasks to other people, right? Oh, nope, I'm a burden. Oh, nope, they can't do it right. Oh, nope, it's not going to work that way. Oh, nope, it's not available. That's not responsible. I need to do it all. Oh, no, what if I live life like I was rich? What if I live life like I was already rich? Oh, nope, I can't do that. I don't have the money. Oh, nope, I can't do that because, right? So these are fears along success and receiving that we have, okay? Me too. I had them. I had to do this, okay? If these are the fears that need to be worked through, okay? Once you do the work, a decision of whether you are going to keep those narratives in your new world or rewrite them will need to be made and committed to. So again, right? If we define these fears of what we're afraid to do, right? What we're afraid to take action on, what we're afraid, like I said, delegating, asking for help, living like we're already rich, digging our ditches and preparing, right? We have fears to do these things because sometimes they don't feel logical. Sometimes they don't feel responsible for us to do those things because it's like the logical mind is going to say, if I need money, I need to work, right? But the illogical thing to do, or the counterintuitive, whatever thing to do, might be sit back and wait to be guided, right? Sit back and wait for things to be clear on what the next step to do is. And and then that's where we have to trust. We have to trust that we're going to figure it out, that the answer will be revealed. And that is when we step into connection to the superconscious. That is when the superconscious and the law of attraction can begin to guide us, because now we are preparing and we're going to live life, and we are taking action as if we are living life the way that we see it, the way that we're envisioning it. I know that some of this is really complex. I really, really hope that you guys are following me and everything is making sense. If there's any questions, please leave them in the comments below and I will make sure to get them, to get answers to you guys, okay? So here are some of the fear exercises. Here are 2 out of the 3 kind of fear exercises, okay? So we need to question. Okay, so questions to journal on for fears around loss or failure, okay? If it's a fear around loss or failure of like, I'm going to lose this business, I'm going to lose this relationship, my life is going to fall apart, I'm going to fail, those things, right? We need to ask ourselves, like, again, I was talking about this earlier, they are illusions. We don't know if they're going to happen, okay? So keep that in mind. So what if this fear, my business is going to fail, my relationship's going to fail? What if it's true? How will you feel and behave? What's going to happen? How are you going to feel and behave? What if it is not true? What if it's not true that the relationship's going to fail? What if it's not true that the business is going to fail? How are you going to feel and behave? Which one feels most true to you? Or which one would you like to be true, right? Which one feels more like God's plan for you? Okay. Which one feels more like heaven on earth? Okay. So if you decide that it is true, what is your plan of action? What are you going to do? If you decide that it is not true, what's your plan of action? What are you going to do? How are you going to show up? This is the choice, right? So if you decide that that illusion is not true, it does not match your vision of heaven on earth for you. If you decide that it is not true, how are you going to feel and behave, and what actions are you going to take? That is the daily commitment. So you've already done the process. You've worked through the fear. You've decided it is not true. And you've decided I'm going to show up this way. So that means the moment you make that decision, the moment your experiment, the moment is when that is the moment you lay your first brick to the bridge to get you from where you are to where you want to be. I hope you're hearing me. Okay. That's the first brick. The moment you go through this and you lay the first brick, that's exactly what's happening. Okay. So you lay the first brick and you lay more bricks when you wake up the next day and you do the same thing. You make the same choice. You show up in the same feelings, the same behaviors, and you take the same actions. You're laying the next brick, day 2. Next brick is laid. Okay. That's how you make a decision. That's how you commit. And that's how you go through the journey. And that's why I keep referring back to sometimes it can be helpful to have a mentor if that's available to you, if that is something you feel called to do, because a mentor can hold you accountable to lay those bricks every single day and to help you when you get stuck, because the truth is we'll get stuck. I got stuck and I have mentors. Okay. So we get stuck, and because of the mentor, we're stuck. We're stuck not at any time for very long. We go confess, we go speak it out, we go write it out, we get the support we need, and we're unstuck and we're moving right along on our bridge. Okay. We don't need to be stuck on brick 2 for a week. We don't need to be stuck on brick 2 for 3 months. We don't need to be stuck on brick 2 for the next year. You can get it done. You need to lay these bricks every day to step into it. Okay. And you can. It has been done and you can. Okay. It is possible for you too. Okay. Now, questions to journal on for fears around receiving and success. Okay. So to take action, right? Getting help, living as if I'm rich, right? Okay. The example, what if I live life as if I'm already rich? Okay. Now, that might make us uncomfortable. We might be afraid, right? We're afraid because what is the worst thing that's going to happen if I did this? What is the worst thing that could happen if I do this? Okay. What can I do to prevent or lessen this from happening? What's the worst thing? What could I do to prevent or lessen this from happening? And what if the worst thing does happen? How can I repair it? Okay. So this is how we're going to define the fears of the worst thing that could happen if we take this action, and how we can make sure that we prepare for it the best we can and repair it if it needs to be repaired. Okay. So this is lessening our risk, the risk factor of taking this action, of going ahead and living life like we're rich. Okay. Now, what would the benefits be if you do this work and it is even slightly successful? So if for the next 30 days you live life like you are rich and you behave and feel and take action in this way, what if it's even slightly successful and you experience miracles because of it? What are the benefits? What are the potential possibilities of you doing this and it is even slightly successful, or it works? What could happen, right? What are some awesome things that might happen if you do this and it's successful? What will life look like 6 months, 1 year, or 3 years from now if you don't do anything, if you don't take the action and you live in the fear and you prepare for the fear instead of preparing for the receiving and success? Okay. I hope this is making sense. I hope you guys are following me. That leads us into phase 3, or secret 3, which is heavenly harmonious balance. Okay. So there are 7 levels of energy. So level 7 is absolute passion. This is where we are in divine co-creation. We're in non-judgment. Okay. This is where heaven on earth is. Okay. Heaven on earth within. This is where we are experiencing heaven on earth when we have reached level 7. And it doesn't mean we're going to always be in level 7, because sometimes we have to go into lower levels to learn more, to be in level 7 more. But when we are in level 7, we kind of have a choice, and we are absolutely aware when we are in level 1, level 2. Whereas if we don't reach level 7, we're not as aware that we're stuck in the lower levels. So hopefully this is making sense. So once you reach level 7, you become more aware of your traveling through levels, and you become more aware of what you're going to do with that so that you can use it to keep propelling you forward. Okay. So level 6 is joy, which is vitality, energy. Level 5 is acceptance and peace. Level 4 is compassion and understanding. Level 3 is forgiveness and reconciliation. And level 2 is anger, resentment, where we're feeling defiant. And level 1 is apathy, or feeling hopeless and feeling like we're kind of in victim mode. Okay. So moving on up, the only way that is going to set us free, the only thing that will set us free from levels 1 and level 2 so that we can move on up and eventually reach level 7 energy of heaven on earth, that bliss, is forgiveness. Forgiveness is the road. Okay. So hear what I'm saying. The only way to get from level 1 to get out of level 1 and level 2 is through forgiveness. Okay. So forgiveness will never validate an excuse or cancel karmic law for someone else. Forgiveness will never be for the one you were forgiving. It will always only ever be for you. These are the things to know about forgiveness, because these are the fears that most people have around forgiveness, is that it's going to be for the other person. We're going to let them in. You know, we're kind of letting them off the hook. That's absolutely not happening. This is only for you to get your power back. It will only stop the ones who hurt you from winning. Okay, from taking your power away, from keeping you from reaching level 7 and keeping you from creating your heaven on earth. Okay, forgiveness is not going to help them in the slightest. Never will. Forgiveness is only going to help you take your power back and make it possible for you to move on up and for you to create your heaven on earth and experience level 7. So forgiveness is not something that the other person will know or understand or even realize that you have done for them. Okay. It will never affect them. It will never reach their consciousness. It will never be, that's not the thing. That's not the purpose for forgiveness. The purpose for forgiveness is taking your power back and making it possible for you to not let somebody who's in level 1, level 2, keep you in level 1, level 2, get you to level 7 in heaven on earth. Okay. So here's the forgiveness process. Okay. So first we need to forgive ourselves. Okay. The most important person we need to forgive is ourselves. And then I'm going to give you the process for forgiving ourselves and forgiving others. Okay. So first we're going to forgive ourselves. Okay. So we're going to say, dear name, like dear Heather or dear me, please forgive me for blank. So we need to forgive ourselves for maybe mistakes we've made. We've put ourselves in positions that have hurt us. Maybe we've been talking negative towards ourselves. We've been putting pressure on ourselves. We've been hard on ourselves. Maybe our self-image has been negative. Maybe we've been judging ourselves, self-blame, self-doubt, judgments, things of this nature. Please forgive me. Heather, please forgive me for doing this to myself. Right. And so what I typically do is like, please forgive me for being mean. Please forgive me for making this mistake. So it's like multiple lines, right? Instead of like a letter. You can do whatever you want, whatever you follow your intuition. This process, as long as you're doing the process, that's all that matters. Now, of course, here are some suggestions, right? But this is mainly what you need to experience. And this is what you kind of need to follow, right? So the next thing after you go through, please forgive me for all the things, right? The next thing is you're going to say, I forgive myself for those things. So insert those things, right? That you inserted on the please forgive me for. And then you say, why? I forgive myself for this mistake or for this negative self-talk because. So this is where compassion. So now so the forgiveness process I bring my clients through is not only allowing them to move from level 1 and level 2 into level 3 of forgiveness, but it's going to take them all the way up to level acceptance. So we're going from 3 forgiveness to 4 compassion to 5 acceptance. And that is really setting that foundation to be able to move us into, again, we're bridging the gap so we can move into joy and absolute passion and heaven on earth. Okay. So now I forgive myself for this mistake, this whatever, because why? What compassion or understanding can you have for yourself? Okay. And then the third and final process of the forgiveness letter to yourself is I'm grateful for this mistake or this experience or this negative self-talk or whatever, because I'm grateful for it because what did you learn from it? What good things came from it? What about you has improved because of it? Right? Are you learning to love yourself more because of it? If you didn't go through that, would you even be here today? Would you even be who you are today? Or would you even be where you're at today in your process and your journey if you didn't experience it, right? Why can you be grateful for it? Why can you see the blessing in this? And why can you know in your heart that this happened for you and not to you? Okay. Now we're moving into the letter for others. It's the same process. It's just flipped a little bit. Okay. Dear name. So dear dad, dear mom, dear ex-husband, right? Whoever. Make a list of people that you need to do this for. I'm not going to give this to them. This is not for them. This is only for you. They will never see this letter. This is not what this is meant for. Okay. This is just for you to help free you, to set yourself free, to help you move from levels 1 and level 2 all the way up to heaven on earth. Okay. So dear name, I forgive you for whatever you've done, right? Because why? What compassion or understanding can you have for them that might have influenced this experience? How were they raised? What do you know about them that may have caused them to behave in this way? What compassion and understanding can you bring to the table based on a higher perspective? If you were viewing their life from God's lens, if you were seeing the situation with God's eyes, why might you be able to forgive them? If you took Heather out of it, if you took yourself out of it for a moment and you looked at the bigger picture, what compassion could you have for them? I forgive you for this experience because you lied, you cheated, you stole, you whatever, right? I forgive you for this because why? What compassion can you have? Now, this is going to take the compassion and acceptance piece deeper. The next part of forgiving somebody else is you're going to say, please forgive me for blank. Now, let's say, I know from my experience with my ex-husband, right? I had things I needed to forgive them for, and I had things that I needed to ask for forgiveness for. Again, they're never going to see this. They're never going to know you've done this, okay? So please forgive me for calling you names. Please forgive me for mistakes. Please forgive me of the thoughts that I had of you. Please forgive me for the things I wished on you, the ill will that I had for you, the reactions I had towards you, how mean I was, this, that, and the other thing, because when they hurt me, this is how I showed up. And guess what? How I showed up, did that help them in any way? Or did it just make the situation worse? Because I know for me, it just made the situation worse. So please forgive me for this. And now, not only am I understanding that how I showed up and how I reacted was not in any way going to help them transform in a positive way, but I also realized that however they were treating me was probably a reaction of somebody hurting them. Just like my reaction was a reaction to someone hurting me. Now I have so much more compassion and acceptance for everything that went down because we're all human. Nobody's perfect. And pain reacts with pain unless it is understood on a deeper level, unless it is experienced through the heaven on earth, unless it is experienced through God's ears and God's eyes. Imagine if you were experiencing their pain through God's ears and God's eyes, how you might show up, how you might transmute that experience immediately instead of letting it crush you or have to build a wall. What if that happened? What if it's possible, right? That's where I'm taking it. That's where we're going. Okay, so I hope you guys are following me. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I know this is a lot of information, okay? Now, the third and final part for the forgiving others. I'm grateful for this experience because, again, what did you learn from it? What good things happened from it? What did you learn about yourself? And how did you improve because of it? Okay, that's the process for forgiveness. Okay, now supporting yourself in the quantum healing, okay? When you are doing the fear exercises in the forgiveness process, I want to be transparent that there may be and most likely will be strong waves of emotion that come up, okay? These emotions are the portal to your intuitive abilities. And what is intuition? It is a feeling or a nudge. We can only be in trust with our intuitive abilities, such as clear knowing, clear feeling, clear seeing, and clear hearing, when we have done the work to clear the noise of the mind. The work is fear clearing, forgiveness, and emotional release. The work is the fear clearing, forgiveness, and emotional release. So emotional healing and releasing. As you go through to do your healing and shifting work of exploring your triggers, resentments, and worries, if or when you feel swelling of emotions come to the surface, follow these steps. Name the emotion or the energy. Some of our fears, right? Some of the things that we think are fears are actually the energy of not being good enough. For example, not being good enough, not being worthy enough. These are more emotions. So when I say not all fears are black and white, not all fears are going to be treated with the same medicine. Sometimes the fear is an energy instead of an actual illusion, right? Or an action needed to be taken. Sometimes the fear is an illusion. So hopefully you're hearing this. Sometimes the illusion of the fear is a feeling or an emotion or an energy. And when it's an emotion or an energy, it needs to be treated like this. Okay. So name the emotion or energy, call the emotion forward. Where is it located in the body? What does it look like? Build a character that you can observe of this emotion or energy, right? Maybe you've seen Inside Out, the movie Inside Out, how there's characters for all the little girls' emotions. Same thing. Okay. Build a character for it so that you can observe it and you have something to connect to and something to talk to and something to keep you focused and stabilized while you do this meditation. Okay. Call forward your spirit team, your ancestors, and all beings of light and love that are here for your highest good, and hold these hurt feelings or energies with compassion and non-judgment. Okay. So if you feel like you need support, if you don't want to do this alone, call all of it forward. Call the energy, the character, the hurt feelings forward, surround them by love and light, and then continue on with this process. Allow yourself to be a channel for this emotion or energy to express itself. This might look like it needs to sob, it might need to scream, it might need to throw a tantrum, it might need to kick, and whatever. It might need to punch, it might need to cuss, it might need to lose its shit. Okay. So let it. Okay. It needs to be expressed. Only do this when you are in a safe space. Okay. So make sure the best place for me to do these things are either with my mentors or on my own when I'm alone. And I can go into these meditations and remove all distractions when my kids at school, when my partner's at work, and I can just do the work. Okay. And I can remove myself from distractions, or when it's my designated time with my mentor and I need to go through this process. Okay. So after the emotion or energy seems to have been expressed, okay, after it's lost its mind, you've let it go crazy and without judgment, and you're there for it, attempt to communicate with it in your mind's eye and see if it needs anything from you or wants you to know anything. So you might literally just ask it, is there anything you need from me? Are there any messages you want me to know? Just communicate with it. Give it time. Let it express itself. Take note. Pay attention. Be aware. Be curious to see what it has to tell you. Remind this energy and yourself that if it ever needs you again, and when it shows up, like it has done for you today, that you will be there for it. Okay? It's not an enemy. Embrace the energy in a hug and imagine all beings of love and light supporting you in the integration of this energy back into oneness with you. And then come back and journal about any insights or messages from this experience. Okay. What this process is going to do is allow you to heal this emotion, express this emotion, release this emotion, and experience this emotion differently. Okay. So experiencing a quantum shift that will allow you to go from blocks to blessings so you can create and live in your heaven on earth within all boils down to these 3 phases of work. Today's class has been a glimpse of what the process of working with me looks like. These are the exact phases I bring my clients through that allow them to quantum shift. Of course, there's only so much information I can give you in one class, and I promise I did my best to give you as much value as I possibly could today. I am confident that if you use the knowledge you gained from today's class to create I am confident that you can use the knowledge you gained from today's class to create a quantum shift in your own life if you begin to implement what you learned. So what I say next is for you if you are thinking, Heather, this was powerful, this is lighting me up, and I'm excited because I know this is the exact work that I need and want to do. But doing it with the support of being in a safe place to transform my personal barriers without judgment, while having someone to hold the vision of my success and keep me accountable, along with a community of people working towards a similar vision as me that can hold space for me and I them, feels like the next best step for me. I want to invite you to do the Barrier Breakthrough Consultation with me. The Barrier Breakthrough Consultation is a no-cost, no-obligation discovery call with me that will serve as a space for you and I to determine if working in a sacred healing space together is a good fit for us both. This consultation will be a way for me to connect with you and see if you are a good fit for our container and allow you to be sure that working with me is the best thing for you. We'll do 3 things. We'll go over your vision of where you want to be. We'll define the barriers that you want to transform so you can bridge the gap. And we'll discover the type and amount of support you would like to receive. This call is for you if you know you're meant for more and you're ready to do the work to transform the barrier standing in the way. You might be a healer who is ready to step into your fullest potential. You might be an ambitious woman ready to discover and prepare to live in your divine design and create your heaven on earth. You might be a mentor or a coach who's ready to get better, quicker, and easier results for your clients. So if that is you, if this is resonating for you and you've gotten a taste of what it's like to work with me today and you feel like this is the work that you need to do, it's time to take action. And I would love to invite you to do the Barrier Breakthrough Consultation with me by clicking the link above or below this video and go ahead and book that time with me now. Okay. So with all of that being said, that's all I have for you guys today. this was a lot of information. I feel like I can finally breathe. And I really, really hope that this was helpful. You guys enjoyed this and you guys are ready to start stepping into quantum shifting. So thank you guys so much for being here. And I really, really, really look forward to seeing how this process and this journey starts to unfold in your life. And I really just pray and hope the best. And I am rooting so hard for your success. And I cannot wait to hear about it if I get the opportunity to. And so thank you guys so much for being here. And I'll see you guys next time.